evening, sim racing fans, for our second half of our Friday night doubleheader right here on LSRTV and iRacing Live. Joining me tonight in the booth, Gabriel Woods, myself, Andy Kessler, and of course, Cisco Scaramuza down trackside in the trailer, getting the picture to you. And we got an interesting and fantastic different set of events here tonight. 3 races as the field grids up and heads out onto the track. And all week long, these guys qualified. There was a qualifying session every single day of the week. Everyone was able to come in, put some times down, and Rodney Wofford ended up with the pole for the first race here tonight. 25 laps. We're going to have 3 races of 25 laps each. No cautions. Cautions are not on. You get in a wreck, you're in deep trouble, put it that way. No resets. There's a fuel cell of 47%. There will be a mandatory pit stop that these guys will have to make at some point during this race in order to continue on. Now, another interesting fact to this race is the fact that at the end of this one, the top 10 finishers in the next race, which will be immediately following this one, will have to start in the back of the field. They cannot qualify for the second event, and so on. The same goes for the third race. The top 10 finishers in the second race cannot qualify for the third race. And ultimately, at the end of it all, most points scored by the individual driver between the 3 races will find themselves as the winner for tonight. So a lot of math is involved. It's a good thing Evan Pasoko is not here tonight. We'd be in trouble with his calculator skills. So with that set, we're ready to set as Rodney Wofford, Sean Bounty, Paul Servant, Mark Jorgensen Jr., Dana Osborne, Chris Bassini, David Anderson, Seth the Merchant, Derek Walker, and William Roberts, your top 10, getting ready to set the field in the green flag. Pace car down to pit road. Green flag is out. Rodney Wofford on the bottom side going to lead that bottom line down the racetrack into turn number 1. A pretty good jump by Wofford, but it's going to be short-lived. It's going to be short-lived now as Sean Bounty picks up his lane now as he leads the outside lane, which typically week after week we've been seeing, especially with the new build, Gabe, is that top side is really the place to be. It's the lane that is the preferred lane when it comes to getting the advantage off of the corners. As we can see Sean Bounty take the lead right there, and chances are he probably won't drop down in front of Wofford. The Sean Bounty winner last week, he does drop down this time, but Sean Bounty picking up a rookie of the series, picks up his first win last week in a race that was unable to be seen here on LSRTV because of the Irish. Oh, we got a wreck behind the leaders around that 10th spot there. We'll try to get a replay up for you. Like we said, there are no cautions as they continue to wreck here. Tommy Hall now involved also, but a whole bunch of drivers already. So this is one of those things. It's interesting without cautions being on that. Man, you get in a wreck like these guys did, and you're in some big trouble.
Oh yeah, these guys, the guys involved in this wreck, they are set behind from the get-go on lap 2 or 3. It's so horrible. You know, they want to run this race. They want to get through all 3 segments. These guys racing hard trying to make up as many positions, and they just turns up into a wreck like that.
Yeah, and the problem now with the damage, some of the guys are probably going to have to come down pit road. Obviously, you end up laps down for other guys that'll be struggling for speed. They're going to have to try to work with somebody, try to finish this thing out as we complete lap number 2 that time by. Across the start finish line, Mark Jorgensen Jr. in the 88 machine after a solid third place finish just a little bit ago in the Rod Car Truck Tour at Rockingham. Looking for a different season, a little bit of momentum. He talked about it in his interview. It's been a tough go-around for him at the end of 2015, and hoping that 2016 brings him some more love in the finishes that he can get on the racetrack. The 14 now, Paul Servant leaves that outside lane, and he's pulled up even now with Mark Jorgensen Jr. The bottom side getting the slight advantage right now, but that top group, it's only 9 cars now in that top group as we complete lap number 3 this time by. Something to be prepared for, obviously, is the mandatory pit stop these guys will have to make at some point. Communication, obviously, going to be key when you come to a plate track and you try to get down under green flag conditions to pit road. Dropping down to 60 miles an hour, Gabe, it makes it a pretty tough place to get on and off pit road.
Yeah, these guys are going to have to get on the horn to each other and just say, I'm pitting here, I'm pitting now, it's going to be so confusing, if they can't get a hold to each other, just wrecking, If one guy even cracks out of the throttle, these guys are going to get absolutely run over. So they have to be in constant communication with each other.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be something to keep an eye on. Obviously, the pit stops, because you don't want to go in alone, and you don't want to come out alone, because you end up losing the draft, and obviously cuts down into your speed. Heading into turn number 1 right there, about 197 miles an hour here under the lights here at Daytona tonight. So the speed is definitely there for those guys, and it's been a lot of fun watching these super speedway races. We've seen a lot of them over the week or so, as we'll pull up Cisco in for some little commentary also here tonight. And Cisco, we've seen a ton of races at Daytona, obviously with Speed Weeks in the NASCAR world.
Yeah, absolutely. And Andy, you and I actually got a chance to run with these guys over the course of the week. You and I were able to hop into a hosted session. They were running the setup. It was during the daytime, but we still got a little bit of an idea of what we're going to be seeing here in this race and kind of the franticness. That race was only 12 laps. This is a little longer. It's about 25, but it's going to be an interesting set of events here.
Yeah, when you talk, just the format, and you got to love it when you talk about the iSuper Speedway Series here on iRacing, and what Rod Flagg, the admin, the league runner, the guy who does it all here, what he's done. And when you talk about a super speedway series like this, where all they run is Daytona, Talladega, and of course they throw in the 2007 Daytona track with all the bumps. So when you're only talking 3 tracks that you can put on your circuit week after week after week for the series, they do things differently. We talk about the endurance races where these guys will run a 100 lap feature, 125 lap feature, and then they'll come in the following week and they'll run in a B main and an A main, a shortened version, a 25 lap or a 45 lap race. And then now they added this to the mix with this cumulative race, 3 short 25 lap races. They keep it interesting week after week, and it's a great thing because it makes the racing a lot different. It makes these guys work for their strategy, and we'll see it here tonight, obviously, because the top 10 finishers in this race can't qualify for the next one, so they're actually going to have to come up through the back of the field to the front. So it's going to make it real interesting. Plus, with only being 25 lap races, it's go time pretty much from the drop of the green flag, and we see right there Sean Bounty getting back to the race lead on the outside lane with the help on the outside lane, drops down in front of Chris Bassini now to lead that bottom lane. Still the 14 of Paul Servant leading that outside lane, but he's actually going to get muscled out to the outside now by the 88 of Jorgensen. Jorgensen usually get in that middle lane like that with no help. It ends up being a sucker hole, but that 88, he somehow made it work there, Cisco, with maybe some side draft action.
Yeah, I'm not really sure he was able to do that, but that Tax Slayer Chevy, man, he's pulling on it. He's looking like Junior out there, which I guess is makes sense considering the paint scheme, but how about Sean Bounty? Got his first win of this whole league as a rookie. Got it last week. Unfortunately, we weren't able to bring you that. But, coming in as a rookie, and, I do have to say, Andy, you are a little biased because you do own that number 34. So you have to be pretty happy with, Sean Bounty coming in as a rookie. We've seen him do so well in RSR at these plate tracks, and he's just been showing these guys, hey, I'm no rookie to plate tracks. I'm just a rookie to this league.
Yeah, and it's definitely something, as a rookie you come into here, and when you talk about Daytonas and Talladegas, you got to have confidence in the drivers around you. And being a rookie, and these guys, these regular league members, that they don't know him. So chances of him getting help, very slim, as we see some of these guys now heading down pit road, led by Chris Bassini. They're going to make their mandatory stop right here on lap number 10. So half of the top 9 there decided to come down this go-around. The rest of them are going to have to work together. It looks like Dana Osborne said next time by they're going to come down pit road. Being such a short race like this, Cisco, the chances are it's probably just going to be a fuel only.
Yeah, I would think a fuel only, but kind of the guy who needs to have a really good entrance here is that 51 of Jason Altman's. He's kind of lost touch with that main pack. He's going to lose a little bit of time right there, but here we go. The leaders are probably going to come in this time.
Yeah, they're definitely going to come by. They're hearing that chatter on the radio right now, and you can see them all heading down pit road right now. Jorgensen leading that group. Servants in there. The 8 of Osborne. You got Sean Bounty making some moves right there, passing a couple guys, getting onto pit road. Of course, Sean Bounty started this race in the second spot, so he's got to go all the way down to the end of pit road, and we'll see how things all cycle out between the top 9 that were out there together, and they're coming down pit road now, the second half of that group, and we'll see how everything shakes out. It looks like it's going to be a fuel only. A couple of the guys maybe taking a little bit more fuel, but the 88, Jorgensen, he's going to come out of pit road all by himself there, so a little lack of communication. Sean Bounty and Paul Servant and the 8 of Osborne all going to come out at the same time.
And how about Altman's coming out of pits? He's basically leading that group who stayed together. But Jorgensen did not take a whole lot of fuel. I'm not sure if that was by design and if these guys wanted just a little bit more handling in these cars. But either way, Jorgensen is way out in front right now.
Yeah, he's way out in front. And the problem is these guys, once they get up to speed, which should take them a little bit of time to get there, is going to make it real tough for him to stay with the pack anyway. He's going to have to try to catch on to the back end of it as the pack, the first group of cars, Rodney Wofford now coming into the picture now as they come out of turn number 4 here. Look at the speed they're carrying. These guys, the other ones that just came off pit road, not quite up to speed now, and you can see Wofford with the help of the 32 Set the Merchant just making their way to the front. No holds about it right there, and they're going to pull way away. Just amazing how much speed they get in the draft like that.
Yeah, I think the pack to look for to form up here is going to be, we're seeing it start to form right now. The 51 Altmans, he's leading that pack. Bounty is second. Paul Servant, Dana Osborne, Chris Passini, Corey Henry kind of tagging on as a lap car, as well as the 11. Those guys are actually pulling it back, and they're going to pull right back up to the back bumper of that 32's pushing the 7. Meanwhile, Greg Hook's still your leader. I do not believe he is pit yet.
No, him, Josh Ball, Rod Flagg, they have not come down pit road yet. Pretty much the only ones that haven't. Chad Keene, Alex Hallinar, those guys, I believe, also haven't come down pit road either. It looks like maybe Casey Malone and Mark Jorgensen Jr. is going to be the first one leading that pack. And as you see right now, as they made it up to him, they're going to go to the outside and get around him fairly easily. It looks like Altman's, though, going to get right on his bumper to help him out and keep him in the mix here as Wofford still continues to lead this pack. They will be the leaders once everyone comes down pit road. We'll take a look at Greg Hooks in the 98 leading the other pack with Josh Ball and Rod Flagg, and those guys had to check up a lot. Doesn't look like too much damage on those cars. The problem is that they had to check up for that wreck, and in doing so, it put them so far behind. But the 3 of them working good together as they work down the back straightaway. Single file, that's all they need to do. Just stay like that. Try to get as much speed as they possibly can. They're talking over the radio now that talking about how much fuel they want to put in because they want to come out together, and that's the only opportunity they're going to have to contend for this if they have an opportunity at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And the longer they stay out here, the more fuel they're going to have to put in this car, you would think, because otherwise it's just going to run dry and you're going to have to fill it up. Or maybe not, I guess as long as you don't run it too bad, but that whole car's going to be lighter, so maybe a little bit of strategy by the 98, 48, and 26. These cars are going to be a little bit lighter once that fuel load's burned off. And, talking about the plate races this year, all these cars, from everything I've seen during speed weeks and iRacing, these cars have been wicked tight. Guys getting up into the wall, that sort of thing. Maybe they're trying to combat that a little bit, get some of the weight out of the car, loosen it up a little bit.
Yeah, and it depends on, obviously, when they come down pit road, how much fuel they'll actually have to put on to make it to the end. Right now,
here we go.
10 laps left to go in this event, and you can see this front group right now starting. It's about 4 cars with Sean Bounty trying to stay with the group here, and it looks like he's kind of running out of the draft help from the front 4, and he's got that second pack led by Dana Osborne coming up quickly to his bumper. Sean Bounty definitely not out of it yet, just kind of losing that draft to the front 4 right now as everything starts to cycle out, and Rod Flagg on pit road along with the other guys. That's going to give that lead now to that 7 car of Rodney Wofford, one of the all-time winningest drivers in the iSuper Speedway Series. Rodney Wofford, he knows how to get it done at Daytona, and he's got a ton of wins here over the years, and no surprise at all to see him get the pole tonight and right now currently lead this thing.
Yeah, he's doing a great job right now leading that group. That's 4 cars that the Merchant, Chris Bassini, Corey Henry also tagging along there. But we saw Sean Boundy fall back into that group of 5 now. And if they work with maybe Pileski, some of these guys at 57, they build up enough of that pack, they might be able to get enough cars. But I believe it's looking right now, from what I'm seeing, they're catching that lead pack.
Yeah, they're catching them actually in a hurry right now, and that's going to
Oh
give
yeah,
us
here
our
they go.
9. Whoa, Altman's gets a little issue there with the lap car, the 57 machine of Jared Haggerty right there in turn number 3 or turn number 1 and 2, excuse me. But that second pack has caught him, so we're going to have our 8 cars here battling for the lead in not too long a time here. So we got about 9 laps still left to go here in this first race. Like I said, there's 3 races tonight, all back to back to back, 25 lap races, no cautions at all, and these guys will have to get it done. The top 10 finishers, of course, in this race will not be able to qualify for that second race, so they'll be starting in the back of the pack, which we saw in this race. The guys who started in the back, they ended up and caught up in that wreck. Guys like the 48er Josh Ball and, of course, Rod Flagg in the 26. They were a couple of those involved, but this lead pack is finally caught up. They're all sitting there right now, and it looks like about 8 drivers now going to battle this thing out. It's going to turn into about 9. There's 1 lap car in the mix of all that, but a great job so far by Rodney Wofford. You got the 8 of Dana Osborne now to the outsides. They're still side by side for the race lead. They make their way around the 17. But Matt Bontempi, the lap machine right now, currently on the board. That's going to put him down 1 lap in that 20th position. So 19 cars still left on the lead lap. A huge separation, though. The top 8 are now battling for the race win. And Gabe, man, these races with no cautions, they go by pretty quick. It makes it crunch time from the drop of the green flag, and we've seen these guys so far here tonight really fighting for everything they possibly can. And every position matters because with all 3 races adding the points up together, it's going to make it interesting when all 3 of them are said and done, where these guys wind up and who actually ends up being the winner.
Well, Andy, first of all, glad to be back in the booth again. Some internet trouble there from the drop of the green flag. I'm backing them up here. But yeah, these guys, they're very aggressive up here, just trying to get as many positions as possible. And even the guys toward the back, that were caught up in that lap 2 or 3 wreck, they have so much damage, but they want to get every position just in case they qualify up front. Because we got 1 car, the 42, is skewed up next to the wall. That's very dangerous. That's very dangerous to have him out there. It's dangerous car as the 14 on the outside gets left out to dry. No hole there, and the 88 is going to let him in, so that's going to leave the 24 or the 34 Sean Boundy, the only car there on that outside lane. That lead breakaway of about 8 cars.
Yeah, that's exactly. You see some
Andy,
smoke coming off those guys there down that. One of them touched the apron there, and you can see the difference in the banking when they get onto the apron right there. What the difference makes there, a little bit of smoke, some sparks flying off of that car, which is pretty cool because you get to see that pretty nicely when you come to these night races like this. As the battle for the lead now shapes up as Wofford to the outside with the help of Seth the Merchant. Those two have been working together since pretty much that green flag pit stop. Now you see Jorgensen going to the outside. It's going to leave the bottom lane open for Jason Altmans to kind of nose his way in there. Sean Bounty trying to stick to the back of this lead pack right here and try to get the best position he can when this thing winds down here. As we got only 5 laps to go, make it 4 now as they cross the start finish line.
Yeah, and this is kind of reminding me of the Sprint Unlimited last week. They kind of tried to run single file, and then one person jumps out of line, and everybody follows him. That 32 and the 7 jumped out, and everybody freaked out. The 88 pulled in front of the 1, almost clipped him, but he's able to pull it off. He pulls back down on the bottom. Now we got that inside lane with 4 cars, and the outside lane with just as many. Going to have some good racing here as the 32 tries to get back to the back bumper of the 7. That inside lane, 3 cars. We got a 3-car tandem there working. We got the 8 of Dana Osborne, the 14 of Paul Servant, and the 88 of Jorgensen. They're just sitting there nose to tail there on the inside.
Yeah, the only way that top side gets the advantage, which is very easy and very possible for that top side to get the advantage, is a matter of how close those guys can get to the back bumper. You can see them make the run now to get back up towards the front. You're going to see him here as the 88 jumps up back up in front of Chris Bassini. That's the second time now in a couple laps that we've seen him make that evasive move right there and almost clip the nose off there. But that top side, you see right there off of turn 2, there was a little bit of separation between Seth the Merchant in that 32 car and Wofford, and the reason, or because of that, allowed that bottom lane to catch back up. That takes the advantage right away. So it's all about timing here as they come up on lap traffic again here to 42, still crabbing up on the top side there. We'll get around Hedrick also in that 21 machine, but he's out there crabbing. He's 10 laps down, but he's got to do it. Otherwise, he's going to drop some more positions. Right now showing in that 30th spot, and by no means is he actually out of this event, but if he pulls it over and he goes in the garage with that machine running like that, he's going to lose a lot more position. That's a lot more points that he can't make up, so he's got to salvage, and that's the only reason why you'll see that car out there.
14 gets turned from the pack. 7 almost goes over. Big wreck. That's going to leave the 34 Sean Bounty and the 8 Dana Osborne all by themselves to race it out for the win.
Wow, the 1 and the 12 going to try to keep up too. That was amazing right there. We'll throw the replay up there. Some contact made by that front pack, and what a move by the 8 and the 34 to get around that and to come to the line here. We're going to get the white flag now. 1 lap to go. It's basically a 2-car race. I don't think Chris Bassini or Wofford even have an opportunity to, Seth the Merchant and Chris Bassini. They're not even going to have an opportunity to even get even remotely close to these two right now as they battle off turn number 2 for the final time.
Down the back straightaway, 34 Sean Bounty on the back bumper, the 8 of Dana Osborne. Down the back straightaway, about a mile left in this race. 2 cars at the 2-horse race, lap traffic, not a factor. 34 is pushing on that back bumper. Can he get there, Andy? Bring him home.
Off of turn number 4 for the final time, down the front straightaway. It doesn't look like the run's going to be there for Sean Bounty. He's not going to get it. Dana Osborne's going to win our first race of the evening here tonight. A good run by those two guys. That's going to be awesome for them for points as far as heading. You know, you don't want a bad race. You don't want to be one of those guys finishing in the 30s. You want to be up here in the front. Obviously, they're not going to be able to qualify for the next race, so they're going to start from the back. But the good thing is they got almost maximum points for those two drivers here in the first race, and Dana Osborne picking up the victory. This isn't an official victory. This is just the victory for this first heat. So we'll call it that, but Dana Osborne getting the win, so a great job by him in that 8 car, and the 34, Sean Bounty, doing a great job avoiding that final wreck that we saw in the back straightaway a couple laps ago. And this will set the stage for the second race, which will be coming up soon. Pretty interesting format, Gabe. We've been talking about it all race long, and I'm interested to see how it shapes up after the next race and just kind of see where, you know, like guys like the top 5 finishers here in this first race, where they finish and how close this is going to be when all 3 of them are done and they start tallying up the points.
Yeah, I mean, if we have another big wreck like that, it's going to spell trouble for, you know, guys like the 8, the 34, the 1, the 19, the 41. Shane McEachin, by the way, started 23rd, and he gets a top 5 with that big wreck there at the end. But, you know, yeah, these guys, they're going to have a lot of work to do if they want to give up front. And if we have another car, or a big wreck, I should say, not a caution, it's basically carb cut, but it actually means something, Andy.
Yeah, it's Carb Cup, but like you said, it means something. So let's run through the final rundown of this first event here tonight. Coming home with the win, Dana Osborne in the 8 car, the 34. Sean Bounty finishes 2nd. 3rd goes to Chris Bassini. David Anderson finishes 4th. 5th goes to Shane McEachin. Kyle Manger finishes 6th. 7th goes to Christian Peterson. Seth the Merchant, one of those guys looking for the win, got in a wreck in the end there, finishes 8th. 9th goes to Jason Altman's. Alex Hallinar rounds out the top 10.
26, a Rod Flag is going to finish first car outside the top 10 and 11th. Mark Jorgensen saw him racing up there for the win, but gets caught up in that accident. He finishes in 12th. Paul Servant in the 14 and 13th. Rodney Wofford saw him almost turn over there on the backstretch in 14th. 15 of Josh Ball in that 48. He's going to finish 15th. Casey Malone in the 16th position. Greg Hooks in 17th. Ben Nile in 18th. Chad King, and the first car 1 lap down, 20th position, Corey Henry.
Jared Haggerty's going to come home in the 21st spot. 22nd to Matt Bontempi. Kent Connolly in the 088 finishes 23rd. 24th goes to Ryan Keese. James Pileski finishes 25th. 26th goes to Glenn Hedrick. Mark Emery finishes 27th. 28th is Daniel Ferguson. Derek Walker finishes 29th. And Brandon Monsaves finishes 30th.
42, we saw him basically just call him the crab. Andrew Berger, he finishes 31st in the 13 laps down. Tad Granger in the 15th finishes 32nd, 33rd Matt Quick, Ray Rittenauer in 34th, Tommy Hall in 35th, 36th Jeff Fleegan in the 36th position, Frank Busilla the third in the 37th position, Dan Harrington, Donnie Garinto, and William Roberts Jr. is going to round out your field.
So 40 cars made the first event here tonight, and it was a pretty good race. A couple little accidents early on separated the field. They made the green flag pit stops. They came back out on track. We had about a eight or nine car pack going for the win, and then we had, of course, that wreck with 2 to go on the back straightaway. Took pretty much everybody out of those contenders that left Sean Bounty and Dana Osborne to duke it out. Sean Bounty not able to get a run to get the win and get by Dana Osborne. So Dana Osborne comes home as your victor, and we'll call it heat race number 1. We'll get ready for the second one, but we're going to step aside. You're watching the iSuperspeedway.com series right here on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing. At Daytona International Speedway, getting set for the second of 3 races here tonight. 25 lap features that are going on here at the iSuperspeedway.com racing series. And we had a pretty good start to the race. No cautions in these races, so if you get in a wreck, you're in big trouble. So it's pretty much try to survive. And we're going to try to talk to one of those guys that did survive in the first race, and that would be the driver, the number 34, Sean Bounty. And Sean, we didn't get a chance to talk to you last week because of the iRacing servers being all crazy. You ended up getting your first win of your career at iSuperspeedway, and a pretty good win for you. And then to start off tonight, you came home second, but it looks like that race is under review. You might even have picked up the win here in the first race.
Well, that's news to me, but I'll take it. Heck. Yeah, it was a pretty crazy race, that first segment. There was a huge amount of pit stop.
Yeah, it looked like for him, obviously he was talking about some pit road issues there, Sean, but it looked like your mic cut off, but you're back now.
There we go. You okay?
Yep, we're good. So that first race there, obviously no cautions in the field. You get in a wreck, you're in big trouble. You survived a couple of them there.
Yeah, it's nerve-wracking when you know they're not going to throw a caution and everybody's just cycling back and forth, fighting pretty hard for the lead. And I really, right there I saw that car ahead of me. He was getting a little squirrely, almost looked like he wanted to squeeze the gap between the two, and I just saw that wreck coming a mile away and dropped to the apron fast, and luckily just squeezed by that. So aside from that, the dozen laps before it, I just felt like I was all alone out on the track with those guys. Every time I wanted to make a move, they just do the opposite, and every time I get behind, they'd start racing again. So I got lucky with the wreck that happened there.
All right, so they basically they said they're going to review it after the whole race and see what happens. But for now, you finished second in that first heat, and now the problem is you don't get to qualify, so you got to come through the back. What's the strategy going to be like for you this time?
Avoid the wreck. Just find anybody I can push like hell and avoid the wreck and slowly make it to the 25 laps is a long ways to go. Even 15 laps, once we got back out on the track and we were all taking our time pushing the lead pack back together, it just felt like a long time. So I think, it should be fine as long as everybody might, learn something from that last race and just, maybe not make the moves they were making or just be a little bit more cautious. So we should be in good position.
All right, well, hey, congratulations again on your win last week. Pretty cool to get your first win in the series that quickly into your career here at iSuperspeedway, and congratulations on that again. And good run in the first one. We know qualifying's coming up next, but you'll be sitting and watching that.
Yep.
So we wish you the best of luck in the second race, too.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
No problem. There's Sean Bounty. He was a big winner last week, and then, of course, coming home in the second spot. A little bit of controversy, I guess, as far as the finish order. It won't be settled till after the race, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. But Dana Osborne did get the win unofficially. They say some guys said that he didn't enter the track after his pit stop when he should have. So we'll see how that goes. But these guys are under qualifying now, so we'll see how all that goes for a lot of these guys. It's a one-lap qualifying effort for all of them. It's only a 5-minute session. We're going to take a quick break while these guys try to sort out the starting positions for this second race. And when we come back, we'll continue our coverage of the iSuperspeedway Series right here on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
back here for the iSuper Speedways Part 2 of these little heat races here, Andy. Qualifying ending up right now, guys. About half the guys have qualified. Mark Jorgensen on the pole right now among the cars qualified, 49.544. He was pretty fast in the truck race, and he was fast during the first race we had here at Daytona. So that's one car to look out for throughout the night.
Yeah, it is. And with the top 10 finishers from the previous race not being able to qualify in this one, that gives Mark Jorgensen Jr. another chance at a good starting spot and a good chance to come out at least with one of these heat race wins. And for him and guys that finished outside the top 20, really, this is their opportunity to try to redeem themselves, because we got an accumulated points night, I guess. Basically, their 3 finishes out of these 3 races will be added up, and the person with the most points, obviously, will become the victor of the night for the overall win. And a pretty good start for a couple of those guys. We talked about Dana Osborne getting the win. Sean Bounty, who we talked to just before qualifying, had a pretty good run. He said pretty much, it's nerve-wracking. It's 25 laps. It goes by quick, but when you know there's no cautions, you really got to be on your toes, Gabe, and you got to be so careful not to get caught up in one of these wrecks, because it's really going to hurt your chances coming out with a victory overall tonight.
Yeah, with with a race like this, you're really going to have to expect a caution, really, but you're going to know a caution, just expect that it's coming, and just hope you're not really involved in it, because there's no going back from it. We've seen, but you can recover some points. We talked about the guy crab walking during that first race, 15th qualifying position to 42 at Andrew Berger. He's looking to make a good recovery. He made it up to about the 31st position, I think, and that's a lot better than finishing 40th. So he's going to try and make up some points.
Yeah, he's going to have to. Right now, as they sit, qualifying just about ended. He's going to start, it looks like, in the 15th spot in this second race. So let's take a quick second. Let's run down through the starting lineup of this second heat. And we'll see it right now. Mark Jorgensen Jr., he did end up with the pole with the 49.544, and his outside will be the 14 of Paul Servant. Third will be Rodney Wofford. Fourth goes to Daniel Ferguson. Josh Ball will start 5th.
6th place is going to go to Tommy Hall. Rod Flag in the 7th position. Casey Malone in 8th. Chad Keene in that 9 is going to qualify in 9th. 10th place is going to go to William Roberts Jr. in the 54.
Derek Walker will start 11th. 12th, Frank Brusilia. 13th to Brandon Monsalves. 14th goes to Tad Granger. Andrew Berger will start 15th.
16th is going to go to Corey Henry in that 12th car. 17th position, Matt Quick in the 89. 18th is going to go to Mark Emery in the 11th position, or in the 11th car, 55, Ben Nall in 19th. And 20th is going to go to Donnie Garantino.
But we'll save that for another time. Ray Ritenour starts 21st, 22nd. James Pileski, Glenn Hedrick, 23rd. 24th will be Ryan Keese. And 25th starting will be the 98 of Greg Hooks.
Dan Harrington in the 82 is going to start 26th. 27th is going to go to Matt Bontempi in the 17 and 27th position. 28 is going to go to Jeff Figlin. Kent Conley in the 088 is going to start 29th. 30th goes to Jared Haggerty. And then here comes the top 10 of the guys who finished that race in the top 10. They could not qualify, Andy. Run through the rest of the field.
Yeah, and then it's going to, basically, it's the way they're going to be set up in the servers based on their I rating. So Seth the Merchant, one of the highest I ratings in the field, he'll be starting 31st. 32nd will be Christian Peterson. Kyle Manger will start 33rd. 34th will be Dana Osborne. 35th, Alex Hallinar. And the rest of the field, Shane McEachin, Jason Altman, Sean Bounty in 38th. And 39th will be Chris Pacini. We had 40 start in that first round. Looks like one driver decided not to continue on, and the field now setting to roll off of pit road, and this is going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. I think a lot of guys maybe learned something in that first race. You got to race hard. There's only 25 laps, and you're these guys 20th on back. You really got to make your moves and make them quick, but at the same time, you got to be pretty careful and cautious about where you put that car because one little slip up, you get a wreck, your chances of finishing well in the race are done in probably about half the field. So everybody's got to be careful on this one. It's going to be interesting to see the first probably 5 to 10 laps, how things will shake out and how aggressive some of these drivers will be, especially the ones that had a bad finish in race number 1, because they got to get their stuff together to get it up to where they need to be in order to have an opportunity to win the thing overall in the third race.
Yeah, your top 3 now right now, they were in the top 10 with 2 laps to go and ended up wrecking the 7, the 14, and the 88. Expect all those guys to tiptoe it around here. They know what it's like to wreck, and they don't want to do it again.
Nobody wants to wreck. Put it that way. But it looks like Jorgensen obviously looking to turn 2016 around. Had a solid night in the trucks earlier on this evening in our first part of our doubleheader, our Friday night doubleheader here on LSRTV and iRacing Live. And he had a great truck, started on the pole, finished third in the race. So he talked about in his interview, just pumped up to try to turn 2016 around, and he's doing a good job by that now. Going to get started on the pole for race number 2 of 3 here tonight. And pace car going to duck to the safety of pit road. Mark Jorgensen Jr. on the gas pedals. The green flag goes out. Paul Servant a little bit slow on the top side. We're Rodney Wofford now in that 7 car, going to give that 88 a huge push as they head to turn number 1. A checkup though behind the field is going to shake things up. Donnie Giarratano in that 3 car stuck in the middle of the pack right there as leaders continue to race off of turn number 2, and 2 cars right now separated the battles for third.
Yeah, Tommy Hall in that 4 car, he was about 3rd row outside. He just did not get the restart he wanted, and he just kind of stacked up the field behind him, and it spread out the field. But that outside lane's coming back, led by that 14 of Paul Servant. He's to the door of the 88 of Mark Jorgensen. And that outside lane's working again. We saw it in the first race. We're going to see it again. One thing to look for, though, I've been praising this draft model. It's pretty close to the real thing. I've been down in Speed Weeks last week, and I witnessed it firsthand. As soon as they get to the tri-oval, that inside lane pulls out again, and then the outside lane wins it the rest of the way around the track. So the inside lane only wins it where it counts.
That's exactly right, and that's the only one that does count, is that last lap, who crosses the finish line first. And right now, that outside lane getting a huge run off of turn number 2. That's where you see the advantage come for that outside lane. Look at the 25, Daniel Ferguson. Haven't talked about him all night. Qualified 4th in this race. He's going to push that number 14 of Paul Servant to the lead, and both of them able to clear that front-running 88 of Mark Jorgensen Jr., and they're going to pull out to the lead right now as we go on board. And it's a pretty good look when you look at these onboard cameras, and you can see how close these guys run to each other when they're right on that bumper, and how much you can actually see out in front of you. There ain't much to look at except that rear spoiler.
Something to look at, Andy. Look at that 4. He's leading the outside lane, followed by the 52 of Casey Malone. That 4 of Tommy Hall. He's working that outside lane, doing the exact same job the 14 did. And he's trying to pull that outside lane up there.
He's trying to pull that outside lane. The outside lane really works with numbers. Right now, 4 cars make it 5 now in the mix. It looks like the 15 car of Tad Granger kind of off the pace just a little bit on the top side, trying to catch up with that. It looks like some guys coming down pit road, they're going to make their pit stop early. The 7 of Rodney Wofford running in the 6th position. He's going to come down pit road. He's got the 20 of Derek Walker. He's also got the 12 of Corey Henry coming down pit road. Looks like the 54 of William Roberts Jr. overshot pit entrance, rides through the grass, get back on the track, but he's going to be well off the draft. That's going to be trouble for the 54 for the rest of this race with no cautions. Going to help these guys. A splash of fuel. Looks like Wofford took right side tires and left side tires. This is unbelievable. I think a little mistake there by the 7. He's not going to catch the draft, and that's unusual. A mistake like that for the 7 car. Rodney Wofford, like I talked about, the all-time winningest driver on iSuper Speedway Series, and a mistake right there. He forgot the crew. They forgot that they weren't supposed to change tires. That's going to put the 7 way behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, the 4 tires a mistake, but hitting right there, that's not a bad idea because, this whole pack is still together, basically 30 cars under a blanket, really, and we saw huge wrecks there in the first few laps of the first race as they go almost 3 wide down the backstretch, and they're now 3 wide with the 4, the 88, and the 25, but those guys, if there's a wreck, they're all going to miss it, but that 7, he's going to be way behind. Close racing up there, that outside lane, trying to work with 2 cars, the 54 and the 4, Tommy Hall and the 54, William Roberts Jr., but they fall back. The middle lane, as you can call it, the 9 and the 88 trying to work back their way back up front, but that inside lane still chugging along.
That they are. It looked like the 3 wide action was going to get a little crazy there. It's going to sort itself out now, and Jorgensen's going to lead that top side now, 4 cars strong. Got a couple other ones a little further back. Looks like Quick in the 17 of Matt Bontempi. Going to try to make something happen as you see the field now starting to catch up to some of those guys that decided to pit road, and look how fast they're coming now as Rodney Wofford and the rest of the gang on the bottom are going to have to try to hang on to this thing, and they don't have to move out of the way. It's up to the responsibility of the leaders to get around them, and it looks like Jorgensen's going to go to the high side with that run, try to get the advantage as you got the 71 of Peterson leading that train. They're going to be showed a lap down. Now they're in the mix of this, so that questionable, I guess, early pit stop there, the theory is correct. The theory of not being close to the action to be caught up in that wreck is probably a good one. But the problem that it did is now these guys have caught the front end of that lead pack. So if they can stay ahead of them, they're probably still in good shape. But being, which they are, battling now back in, it now puts them susceptible to an accident as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, they've kind of shot themselves in the foot, really, because the situation they were avoiding is the 1 car on the outside with some damage pulls out of the way of the leaders. 88 gets a huge tap from the 9 of Chad Keene. 88 holds on to it, but these guys, they want to ride around the back, really, and just avoid a wreck if it happens. But the way these guys are racing, 38 spinning, they're back in the pack.
Yeah, Jeff Figlin and more guys come down pit road that time, led by Rod Flagg and the 17 of Matt Bontempi, and the 38 spinning off of turn number 4. He's going to come down pit road also for him. That's Figlin, Jeff Figlin in the 38. Had some trouble. He's going to come down pit road. Kent Connolly's on pit road. The 32 of Seth the Merchant also on pit road. 88 now to the lead, but it looks like he's calling out that this time by that group is going to come down pit road. The 94 of Frank Busilia also going to come down pit road. So another group of cars, 48 of Josh Ball, he's right in there in the mix. Frank Busilia, as I said, the 42 also coming down, that's Andrew Berger. So all these guys now deciding to come down on lap number 8, make that lap number 9. So some interesting strategy for all these guys, deciding rather than wait to the end to come down pit road, they're going to get it over with now.
Yeah, I mean, they've already had basically a practice race to kind of figure it out. Gas and go for Mark Jorgensen as he pulls off pit road for basically everybody. Chirps the tires coming off pit road, and that's going to allow the 48 to catch up to him, but he's going to lead that pack again as they come out on the apron.
Yeah, we look at the lead pack of cars right now. Chad Keene is one of those. He is scored your race leader. You got the 71 and the 7, who basically are on the tail end of the lead lap because they're in front of the leaders right now. Those guys right now are trying to stay ahead of them and try to get as much speed that they can out of the cars as more pit stops happening for most of these guys. A required pit stop is mandatory for these drivers in these small races. Not necessarily that they need it, but they have to do it. They have to make the pit stop. It's one of the rules as far as how this race unfolds here tonight. So not in the first race, guys pretty much doing it about midway towards the end, just coming in for a little fuel and going. And then in this race, some guys learning something, trying to pit early in this one. As you see some more guys come down, the 4, the 54, the 9 of Chad Keene, all coming down. Matt Quick in that group as well, the 55, and of course the 3 of Donnie Giratano. They're all coming down. So this will probably shake things up. It looks like that would be probably the majority of the field now has made their green flag required pit stop. So it'll take a little bit, a lap or two, to get things shaken up as we've completed 10 laps, working number 11 right now.
Yeah, as we cycle through, Hall serving as your leader right now. They're racing with a bunch of lap cars, basically the guys that have just pitted. He's right in the gaggle of it, but he's lined up on the inside, so if he hasn't made his pit stop, I haven't been keeping track of him, but if he hasn't made his pit stop, he's on the inside lane, so he's open to make it whenever he wants. But I think he's content just kind of riding in a pack right now as the 21 ducks down. He almost turns him, really. But yeah, there's a bunch of lap cars around him. Looks like the 30 of Liskey, 41. 3 wide. 3 wide, great racing here, but you know, are they racing way too aggressive just to be racing basically to a pit stop?
Well, we're almost to the halfway point already, so these laps tend to click by pretty quickly here. It's James Pileski trying to make that inside lane work. It looks like he's bouncing off of everybody around him. The 088 of Kent Connolly to his outside. They're going to drop down in front of Paul Servant there in the 14 car, try to make their way around. So Glenn Hedrick scored second right now. Dana Osborne, who won the first race unofficially, sits third right now, and all of them all mixed up right now with some quote-unquote lap down cars or cars on the tail end of the lead lap. So a lot of moving, a lot of shaking going on. Most of these guys, it looks like Jorgensen Jr. is leading the pack, that once all these guys pit, he will be leading the pack that will be racing for the win. He right now leads the pack with Josh Ball, Frank Musili, Andrew Berger, all involved in that, and it looks like that group has really caught back up to each other fairly close. It's going to be an interesting one when things cycle out.
Yeah, 5 cars in this little breakaway, and basically the rest of the field are about 10 cars. William Roberts, Matt Quick, the 3 of, not even going to try that name. Andy, go ahead and fill in for me.
Donnie Giarratano.
There you go.
It took me a while
I'm
too,
not,
but I've been doing it for almost a year now with these guys.
Yeah,
so.
I'm not going to.
It took about 8 months.
12 of Corey Henry, he's going to lose that momentum there on the outside. These guys, if they want to catch him and make any kind of time up, they're going to have to get single file. We've seen that can work. You know, just kind of working single file. You can catch about a second a lap if you can work good, well enough. The 3 cars on the outside are basically just acting like a big parachute for the cars on the inside.
The problem is trying to get 9 cars to be single file without anyone having to run out in front of anybody. That's the whole big key, as well as it looks like the rest of the field decided to come down pit road. They're on the apron right now, and they're actually going to get passed by that front group right now and not even up to speed. They're still on the apron, so they stayed out, but I really think that staying out too long really cost them. As you see them race by the 8 car of Osborne right there on the back straightaway, he has no chance at all to catch up to that pack, especially by himself, as Jorgensen now, when they come around this time by, will be leading the race, a race of 5 cars right now as they come up on a lap car, the 32 of Seth DeMerchant. That's definitely not the run he was looking for right now, as he's about to get passed, which would put him 4 laps down. So some damage on the 32 early on. That's going to really cost him.
Little update on your guys that finished well in the first race here tonight. The first car that didn't qualify, which signifies that they were in the top 10 in the first race, the 99 of Kyle Manger, followed by the 71 of Chris Patterson. Those 2 guys drafting together with Rodney Wofford. Peterson, yeah, these guys, you know, they're not making up that much time ever since the drop of the green flag. They just cannot make up any time.
No, they're sitting right now 9 seconds back from the race leaders, and 9 seconds and 10 laps is not going to really be able to get it done, especially the way this lead pack is driving right now, all single file like they are, and those 5 right now have about a 3-second gap to 6th place William Roberts. So those guys obviously did something right as far as their pit stops, and they all came out together and they all went in together, so in turn that made it easier for them to get up to speed a lot quicker. And we've seen plenty of races at these super speedways get won and lost on pit road, and for these 5 at least, for the time
trouble
being.
with the pack. Trouble with the pack. The 54 came up on a lap car, and then the lap car trying to figure out who that is. Looks like the 38, I believe. He didn't know where he wanted to go to get away from the leaders, and the 54 just almost ran in the back of him, and it broke up that pack.
Yeah, that'll put that pack single file, which is exactly what they really needed to do to try to gain some time right now. And we looked through the field, a couple of the guys that we were talking about that needed to, or that didn't qualify, that needed to get up there and get involved with this one. Sean Bounty, one of them, he's 2 laps down, had some damage in that 34 car. So coming off of a second place finisher in the first race, now he's in big trouble all by himself, having some trouble on the racetrack, obviously. So It's going to be interesting how all these points add up towards the end of this thing. But the only one really, there ain't too many of them that finished well in the first race that are having any luck whatsoever. You talked about Kyle Manger and Christian Peterson. They're running 16th and 17th. So starting in the back definitely isn't an advantage.
Yeah, I mean, Sean Bounty and the rest of these guys that have damage. Let's see, Alex Handler, Sean McEachin, Seth DeMerchant. All these guys, yeah, they're in the back, but that also means they get to qualify, and they've all got fast cars. They started up front in the first race. They know how to get it done during qualifying, so they can win the third race and see how many points they get, and kind of do a little bit of damage control, and may even get the overall win if things stack up for them.
Yeah, it's definitely a crapshoot when you come to these races anyway, as far as the finishing order, and then to put three little races like this and add them all up, you got to be perfect pretty much all three races if you're going to win this thing, and it's going to take a pretty good average finish to get that done. So with that said, we're approaching. We got 7 laps, make it 6.5 as the leaders storm down the back straightaway. Mark Jorgensen Jr. still leading that pack. None of these guys yet have started to pull out to try to make anything of this. A little bit early, I would think, with only 5 of them in this pack to try to get things done. Like I said, 6 to go when they come by the line. It's probably going to be around that 3 to go mark or so when you're going to start seeing these guys pull out and try to make something happen.
Yeah, these guys right now are just saying if they have spotters or something, just say, hey, pull the 48 or the 94 into my team speak. Let me talk to them. Just let me get an idea of if they want to work with me or not. Let me ask them to the prom. He may as well say it, will you be my dancing partner for the final few laps and see how it shakes out? Because they're going to have to get by somebody, the 42 and the 52. They always, you always want to have somebody. We saw the guys trying to race by themselves, the 2 guys, Dana and Sean, there at the end of the last race. They weren't able to race side by side. The only 2 cars as they go around Sean Bounty right now. When they raced by themselves after that big wreck, Sean just could not get the run. So they're going to need multiple cars to get past somebody.
Yeah, you definitely are. And, because we saw it, the 34 had no opportunity at all to even get a run on the 8 in that final 3/4 of a lap or so to try to even at least race them side by side. So it does make it tough without any help, and it's definitely going to take some help for these guys if they want to get around the 88. And I have a feeling it's going to be a gang up here on one car, and somebody's going to get left out to dry. And ultimately a top 5 is not a bad deal for any of these guys. So why not race it out, and why not try to go for the win? Because at this point, with the 3-second gap to the 6th place, they pretty much got nothing to lose except for 5th place. So it's really up in the air, and they're going to come across a stripe here, 4 to go. We're coming down to close to that point, and they're really thinking about a lap or so. You're going to start seeing somebody move and shake. I really think you'll see that 48 probably stick with the 88. Those 2 running together as teammates. I don't think you'll see them probably deviate from each other at all, unless it is the final race. And of course, the 94 being on their team, Frank Busilia also. So those 3, that's going to be tough to get around them because those 3 are teammates, and they're probably content with where they're running right now.
Yeah, it looks like they've also drafted in the 42 of Andrew Berger. He was the guy crab walking there for the final half of the race in the first one we've talked about multiple times, and he's worked his way up front, so he's doing very well of putting himself in the running for this thing. He's also in their radio channel, so looks like they're trying to leave that 52 all by himself. He's got no friends out there.
Yeah, and he's not in a position right now to get anything done by himself there too, so even if he pulls out, he's not even going to be able to do anything with it. Yeah, actually, we're getting word that actually all 5 of them are in the same channel talking to each other. So I don't even know if they're going to pull out and try to race this thing out. This might be interesting. They might just stick right where they are right now. But you talked about the 42 of Andrew Berger. Definitely a rebound for himself after finishing in around 30th spot in that first race. He needed this in order to be in contention, and at least ultimately at the end of it all, it might end up with getting him a top 10 finish overall if he hits a decent finish in that 3rd race too. So we'll keep an eye on that as things develop, and the rest of this time. But we got 2 laps to go here, and about a lap and a half now as they rumble down the back straightaway, about to put the 15 car another lap down as they do that right now and head back into turn 3.
Yeah, with these 5 cars there, and they're all in the team speaks and the radio channels together, you know they got to be saying, hey, you remember that $5 on PayPal you owe me, or the $10? Yeah, just go ahead and let me win, and I'll forget about that whole thing. But we're coming to the white flag. See if anybody pulls out.
That we will see. White flag in the air at the start-finish line. That time by for the final time into turn number 1 in this race number 2 of 3 here on the docket for the iSuper Speedway Series tonight. And a new feature. This is a new type of cumulative race structure that they did for the first time. And I think so far it's pretty interesting. I think it's been good, and I think it puts more gamble into this actual type of racing. So it's fun to see as they rumble down for the final time into turn number 3. And so far, nobody's pulled out. Nobody's trying anything. And the top 5 remain single final as they exit turn number 4. They come to the start-finish line. It looks like somebody's going to make a move. Josh Ball to the inside.
There he goes. He's got him. He's got him.
Jorgensen. Jorgensen's going to squeeze that out by 10/1000ths of a second. They gave it a run. They gave it a good college effort there, but Mark Jorgensen Jr. going to come home with the win in the second feature.
Oh, man, what a finish. Oh, man, everybody went every which way. Nobody had a partner. It was just every man for himself. That was awesome.
That was a great finish right there, and I think the guys did it justice to, that nobody got in a wreck, and they waited right there till off of turn number 4 to try anything. But Mark Jorgensen Jr. continuing a fabulous Friday night for himself after finishing 3rd in the truck race. He gets a win here in the second feature of 3 here tonight on the iSuperspeedway.com Racing Series. And with that said, we're going to run them through the final rundown here tonight in race number 2. Mark Jorgensen Jr. with the win. Josh Ball comes home second, just a mere 10/1000ths of a second out of it. Frank Busilia finishes 3rd. 4th goes to Andrew Berger. Casey Malone finishes 5th. 6th goes to Tommy Hall. Rod Flagg comes home 7th. 8th goes to Derek Walker. Greg Hooks finishes 9th. And Ryan Keese will round out the top 10.
11th is going to go to Glenn Hendrick. Matt Quick in the 89 is going to slot in the 12th position. Donnie Girantano in the 13th position is going to finish there in that 3 car. Kyle Manger in the 99 is going to finish 14th. He is the first of the guys who finished top 10 in the first heat race, may as well call it. So he's the first one. 15th is going to go to James Poleski in the 17th position. Paul Servant. Kent Connolly in 18th. Rodney Wolford in the 19th position. Corey Henry in 20th.
21st will be 1 lap down also will be Daniel Ferguson. Tad Granger finishes 22nd. 23rd goes to Mark Emery. Christian Peterson finishes 24th. Alex Hallinar 25th. 26th goes to Shane McKeechin. Ben Nile finishes 27th. 28th is Chris Passini. Chad Keene finishes 29th. And 30th is Sean Bounty.
At the Merchant, another one of the guys. This is where most of the guys who started in the top 10 or finished in the top 10, this is where most of those guys ended up. 31st is going to go to Seth the Merchant, 4 laps down. Matt Batempi in the 32nd position, 6 laps down. William Roberts Jr. in the 33rd position. Dana Osborne, he won the original race, 34th position. Jim Figlin in the 35th position. Jared Haggerty, Ryan Rittenauer, Dan Harrington, and Jay Riot in the 39th position.
Well, that's your rundown. 39 cars that ran in the second heat of 3 here tonight in the iSuperspeedway.com Racing Series. And with that said, we're going to get set and get everything lined back up and get ready for round number 3, the final round of this new cumulative race structure that they put on here. And it's been fun so far, but we got one more to get done and 25 more laps of some hard racing here at Daytona. Set to get underway in just a few minutes. We're going to step aside. You're watching the iSuperspeedway.com Racing Series right here on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing. Welcome back to iSuperspeedway.com racing series right here at Daytona International Speedway, right here on LSRTV and iRacing Live. And we're going to take a second game and talk to the guy who won the second main event here tonight, and that's Mark Jorgensen Jr.
Yeah, Mark, that 88 ended up being wrecked on the last lap in the first race. Second race, you pull in victory lane. Congratulations on, I guess, your heat win.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. It was a fun race. I had a bunch of teammates up there at the front. We just all rode in line just to get the race over with. We didn't want to start duking it out between us and having that second pack gain on us. But yeah, I wish that first race would have went a little bit better. Was hoping for a top 5, if not a win. Go ahead and seal the deal. But looks like starting at the back with a bunch of our teammates. So looks like it might. It's my race to lose. I mean, if I come out of here short of a win, I'm going to be pretty pissed off.
Well, the guys you got to race, it's, yourself, Josh Ball, Rod Flagg, Kyle Manger, a bunch of the guys. Some of them qualified up front. Some of them aren't going to get to qualify. So, do you think you're going to be able to work your way up there?
I think so. Where you make up your time is getting on pit row and getting a splash of fuel and getting off of pit row and getting up through the gears and staying on the apron in 1 and 2. That's the biggest issue. You don't want to create yourself an issue for NASCAR to take a look to see if you obey the rules. But if everything goes good, have a clean pit stop, I really think that I could possibly get a top 5, if not a win.
Well, Mark, before we let you go, here's some good news. You're starting highest out of the guys who aren't going to get to qualify, so at least you don't have to pass 10 cars.
Oh, yeah, sounds good. Looks like I'll be blocking them guys that stay in front of them.
10 for Mark. Andy, Mark's pretty confident. He's looking to get a top 5. You think he can do it?
Yeah, he's obviously on a roll here this Friday night, and obviously we talked about him trying to rebound from a horrible finish of 2015 and get himself back in the mix of things and up to the front and racing for wins week after week like we had seen him do a couple seasons ago. And he's doing a great job of that so far. And like we said, picking up the third place finish in the truck series a few hours ago now at this point. And then, of course, having a good run in that first opening heat. Like you said, having a wreck there at the end of it kind of set him back quite a bit. And then he picks up the win in the second heat, and he's going to go into this final race now with a points lead, actually. So he's going to have a 4-point lead over his teammate Josh Ball, 5 points back to Rod Flagg. Kyle Manger, another one of their teammates, is sitting in that 7 points back and fourth. And Casey Malone rounds out the top 5, 8 points back. And then you go to 13 points back to 6th place. So some of these guys need some runs, start to make up some ground. And these other guys, it looks like about 4 or 5 of them are really going to have an opportunity to win this thing tonight.
Anthony, one thing to look out for, we had basically almost a last lap pass there for the lead, and those guys didn't get separated until halfway down the front stretch. So, you can make your moves pretty late there down the straightaway if you get a good enough run. So that's something to put in the back pocket of all these drivers.
Yeah, it's going to be something they're going to have to keep an eye on. We're going to take a look now at the starting lineup for the final heat race here tonight. And Paul Servant's going to come out with the pole with a 49.503. Rodney Wofford's going to start in that second spot. Sean Bounty, good rebound for him. Second in the first round, a horrible 30th place finish in the second round. Looking to rebound from that right now. He's going to start in that third spot. Fourth will be David Anderson. James Pileski will start fifth. Sixth is going to be Chris Passini. Seventh will be Dana Osborne. Brandon Monsalves will start eighth. Ninth goes to Ben Nile. And Donnie Giratano will start 10th.
11th qualifying position is going to go to the 11 of Mark Emery, 71. Christian Peterson is going to qualify in the 12th position. Jared Haggerty in 13th. 14th is going to go to Ray Ridnour the second. 15th goes to Alex Hallinar. Daniel Ferguson qualifies in 16th. Shane McEachin in 17th. Corey Henry in the 12th and 18th. Matt Quick in the 89 is going to qualify 19th. 20th is going to go to Seth Demerchant.
Chad King in the 9 will start 21st. Glenn Hedrick 22nd. 23rd to Jeff Figlin. Kyle Manger starts 24th. 25th will be Kent Connolly in the 088. And then the rest of these guys were the top 10 finishers in round number 2. That's Mark Jorgensen Jr. starting 26th. 27th will be Casey Maloney, Andrew Berger 28th, Rod Flagg 29th, and 30th will be Ryan Keese.
31st and the 98 goes to Greg Hooks. 94, Frank Brusilia the third in the 32nd position. 33rd position goes to Tommy Hall in that 4. Josh Ball made that last lap move, almost got him the victory in that 48. He's going to start in the 34th position. 35th, Derek Walker and Dan Harrington rounds out your 36-car field. It's been narrowed down a little bit. Guys basically losing hope and realizing they're not going to get the victory, so they drop out. So we've got 36 cars from the original 40 we had at the start of the night.
Yeah, 40 in the first one, 39 in the second, now 36 in the final race here tonight. It's all or nothing at this point. We talked about the points, 5 guys being within 10 points, and you get to Greg Hooks there in 6, about 13 back. So, and then you got guys like Sean Bowney, who actually sits in the 11th spot, 19 points back after a second-place run in the first race. So it's a big mix-up. There's a lot of guys that need to make up some ground. And honestly, with this format, I think a good, solid overall top 10 finish will be good for a lot of these guys and much needed for some of them. And for some other guys, just a good rebound, maybe a couple bad races at the beginning. They just want a good finish here, try to get as many points as they possibly can for the night. Off of turn number 4, though, the pace car going to drop down to pit road to safety so they don't get run over. And Paul Servant in that 14 will lead the field to the green flag for the final time. Green flag is out. 25 laps will make up this final race right now. Rodney Wofford on the outside. Got the 19 and David Anderson giving them a push. They got the slight advantage. They head back to turn number 1.
In that outside lane work, it pulls down on the 14, not clear yet, and that's going to allow the 14 to pull back down. Paul Servant gets the lead momentarily, but at 19, he is laying on the back bumper. David Anderson right there, the 7. He's going to look to get the run down the back straightaway, and he does. That 34 is Sean Bowney there on the inside of the racetrack. He's doing all he can to push that 14 back up front, but that outside lane is very strong.
The outside lane is strong. We'll see how it shapes up the rest of the way through this race. Sean Bowney on that bottom side trying to give Paul Servant the cushion that he needs. But look at that top side now as the 19 gets right on the back bumper of Rodney Wofford. That's going to give him the lead as they come to the start-finish line. Give that lap lead to the 7 car as the top side still continues the momentum. You got Chris Bassini, 3rd one on the outside, and Dana Osborne, the winner of heat number 1. He's right there, 4th in line on that top side as the bottom side. Again, as they head into the corners, we'll see that all night long. Into the corner, the bottom side will get the advantage. Top side, they get their advantage off the corner. It's going to be a fun one to watch as this thing continues on, though. So far, we're clean. No big major incidents right now as they run. A pretty good pack right now in the front, about 20 cars or so. Then you got a secondary pack led by the 21 of Glenn Hendrick there in the 18th spot. So that'll make it, instead of 20, that'll make it 17 in that top pack right now, and it won't be too long, and that second pack will get right up there along as well. Christian Peterson, one of those guys, having kind of a rough night, sitting there in that 9th spot right now in that 71 car. He's trying to make something happen, trying to get himself up to the front. 32 is Seth the Merchant, another one of those guys' teammates that typically at these plate tracks, you see these guys up front all the time, racing it out for race wins week after week. But tonight, this format has definitely stumped those two.
Yeah, 32 is Seth the Merchant, trying to figure out which lane's moving because he's just diving back and forth between the 3 and the 12. Dives back down to the inside, cuts the 64 off. He's just trying to find a lane to work with. Looks like the 12 car and the rest of that lane is moving along with the leaders as 14 goes to the outside, back up front. Paul Servant, he's coming to the front. He's going to take that lead this lap, this time by, and the 34, Sean Bowney, is giving the back bumper. The whole outside lane just nose to tail as the 8 and the 1 also get loose 11 in the wall.
Yeah, and you got 2 in the wall right now. It looks like the 11, everybody's going though. They're in the wall, but they're able to keep it straight. Everybody stays clean. Mark Emery in the 11, one of those that got into the wall right there. As the rest of the field storms on by, they're going to lose a ton of positions right now, but it looks for the most part that the damage isn't too bad, and they should, once they catch the draft, get back into it. Here is the 7 of Rodney Wofford off of turn number 4. Not going to be able to keep that lead as there's too much of a gap between him and Pileski. Top side going to take the advantage again. Paul Servant leads another lap here on lap number 6. And some mic issues maybe for our friend Gabe. And the bottom side continuing off the corner right there. Like some snafu with Gabriel Woods' microphone. The top side getting the advantage right now as they head back into turn number 3. And that top group right now looking pretty strong. Everybody looks pretty sturdy. There's nobody really shaking it up too much. A little bit of change in position happened about a lap or so ago. Put the 14 and the 34 back on the top side after they were on the bottom, leading that bottom line for a couple of laps. So a little bit of shuffling as far as which lane to be put in, but other than that, everybody's keeping it pretty steady right now. And Cisco, it's been kind of a interesting night with this new format, this cumulative format, and it's been fun to watch and see how it shakes out. And it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it has, and it's definitely, I think it's put a very different challenge as we're seeing, some faces up here towards the front of the pack we don't normally get to see up here leading this thing. How about James Pileski in that 93? He's kind of working with Frank Basilia, Josh Ball, those guys over there on that team, and then Ben Nile in the 55. How about a guy, he's a very good racer in that 55. He's always had a lot of success, but not really in this league. We haven't seen him have a whole lot of success here, but he's having a great race right now as he's third on that bottom line.
Yeah, he is. Good to see him up front and do very well. He qualified 9th. It was a good starting spot for him and already up to that 4th spot. So a real good run so far for that 55. Pit stops have already started to happen for some of the guys. Rod Flagg was the first one to come down that last time by, and you'll see a bunch of these guys start to shake it up just a little bit. It looks like the 94s, the 94, the 48, looks like all of them are going to be coming down. The 93 is going to come down the pit road also from that 3rd spot on the inside lane. That's going to shake up things a little bit right there. Almost gets into Ben Nile of that 55. But those guys, team cars coming down pit road. Sean Bounty now is going to lead that top side now with a good move as a 14 of Servant drops down in front of Wofford. Getting a little tight on that top side there. The 19, David Anderson, looks like they got a pretty big run there through the middle of the corner on Sean Bounty, and that checked things up quite a bit. And Seth the Merchant's going to decide to drop down. Now he's behind his teammate, Christian Peterson. That's pretty good for those two.
Andy, one thing to remember real quick, the guys who pulled out a 3-second lead there, the 5 cars who pulled out in that second race, they were those guys. They were the guys who pitted first, and we can see the same thing with the guys who pitting now.
Yeah, it looks like Matt Quick and Ray Rittenauer coming down pit road that time by, so things shaking up just a bit right here. Top side, Dana Osborne gets shuffled out a little bit further back. Giratano's going to take advantage of that, head to the inside. Got a pretty good battle for second spot now, 3 wide. Ben Niles going to push up the middle there. Seth the Merchant stuck by himself on the outside. No contact made yet, but now Seth the Merchant able to drop back down. Whoa, there's a little bit of contact. The one of Chris Passini looks like he came up the racetrack just a bit, got into the 71 of Christian Peterson. Lap car, the 88 of Jorgensen Jr. there on that bottom side. Everybody just fanning around, able to get by with no issues. That was close right there with the 25 machine of Daniel Ferguson. Everybody able to spark it up right there, and Jorgensen Jr. going to try to tag on to the back end of this lap. 1 lap down, and he's the guy leading the points as they came into this race, and right now he's a lap down, and he's looking for some friends out there to try to get some speed back in that car.
Yeah, you cannot survive by yourself out here. Jorgensen is in a bad position if he can't get anybody to work with. I kind of like the rules. It kind of puts you at a disadvantage if you win, but you get those maximum points like we saw in the second race. He won it. He was very confident he has the ability in the car to get a top 5, but he just really doesn't have the time, and it's just how far can he really make it up?
Yeah, we're almost approaching the halfway point of this final race too. So obviously this front lead pack that has 16 cars in it currently right now. They're all within 1 second of each other. Those 16 cars still have to come down pit road, so their mandatory stop has to happen real soon here as Ben Nile gets shoved to the outside right now in the 32, the 71. They're going to make their way around Dana Osborne, and now the 99 of Kyle Mander's going to get around, and Ben Niles going to have to drop back in line. right there behind them. 5th in line now on the top side. The top side gets the advantage again. Seth the Merchant to the lead. He's got the help of his teammate, the 71, Christian Peterson, giving him the big push he needs as Servant. Now takes over that top spot on the inside, but not for long because Seth the Merchant actually is going to drop down in front of him. That's going to give his teammate the top side advantage with the 71 of Christian Peterson now trying to get a run with the help of Dana Osborne and the 99 of Kyle Manger. And that bottom side, still the numbers prevail for the bottom side as they approach another lap car right now. Lap car running that bottom lane, as the bottom lane has about 10 or 11 cars. That gives them the total advantage as the 71 of Peterson now drops to the inside, leaves the 99 of Manger all by himself out there. Ben Nile, a couple cars lengths behind him on that top side. And then, of course, Sean Bounty's back there also. 71 pops his head back out on the outside. They try to make their way around another lap car. Some awesome action going on here early on. Obviously, green flag pit stops as they go around Tommy Hall in that number 4 car there for the lap machine. They rumble down the back straightaway. Pit stops still need to happen for the top guys. The 14 of Paul Servant, he's the one coming down pit road this time.
Yeah, he's coming down. He's following right behind Seth the Merchant. Be interesting to see how many cars come down with him because very fast car. Here they come. Everybody's coming down. There's the 8. Everybody look for some speeders. One car, Seth the Merchant, a couple cars go in the grass. Big wreck on pit road.
Whoa, and more
Oh,
trouble
the
on
14
pit road.
spins. Spins somebody.
12 gets spun around by Paul Servant, and man, some chaos going down on pit road there. And that's exactly what we talked about. A lot of things can happen. You can lose a race down there on pit road, and that's exactly what we saw right there. Too many cars coming in at once, and a couple of them missing the pit road commitment cone. That's gonna. Wow, Rodney Wofford getting some magic done of his own right there, and unbelievable right there. That was close, but yeah, a lot of these guys that missed the pit road. I mean, that's just huge if you miss pit road right there. So these guys separate a little bit as they come off. You see Christian Peterson way ahead of the 7 and then way ahead of the 41 right now. Shane McKeechin as they come back onto the racetrack, and right now scored as your race leaders that 21 of Glenn Hedrick. Ben Nile down to pit road. Looks like Tommy Hall still out there. He's lapped down, but he's trying to get around Glenn Hedrick though with the lead. The problem for him though, he has no help at all.
You know, Andy, I think that crash on pit road, these guys are used to, during most of the pit stops here on iRacing, the cars are drive-through as you drive through the pits. You can just drive through anybody's car. Sometimes it does not do its job, and you end up hitting people, and that's what happened. The 12 and the 14 were just expecting to go through each other, and that didn't happen.
Yeah, it's kind of a fine line. Technically, I guess you'd have to be on that concrete, I guess, when the server puts you invisible, but those two were awfully close to being at that point. It just didn't work out like they wanted it to, and they ended up spun around. The worst one out of that was the 12 of Corey Henry. Once you get spun around like that, there's no turning back, and you got to spin around. You lose a ton of time there on pit road. So this will, again, shake things up quite a bit as we try to let things cycle out. Still a couple cars like the 21 that still need to come down pit road to make their stop. We got 10 left right now, and we're going to take a peek at the pack right now with James Pileski. And those guys, once they get around Glenn Hedrick and he comes down, they're going to be the ones that are in the lead. And that's Alex Hallinar in the 64. He was leading that pack. He's going to fall back now behind these guys as Pileski will take advantage of that. He's got Busilia and Josh Ball in the 42 in tow, along with 4 other cars, and those guys, when everything cycles out, will probably be your race leaders.
Yeah, these guys should be your race leaders, barring any sort of incident. And this is kind of coming out the way we saw it in the first race. Guys pitting early, and they end up just forming a line, and we should see them branch out, maybe a little bit earlier, but towards the end of the race, they'll branch out and try and get as many positions as they can before the stripe.
Yeah, and a couple of guys to keep in mind in that are in contention for the win there. The 48 of Josh Ball is one of those names that comes to mind. He was sitting second, 4 points back of the win overall for the night. And right now in that group, he's third in line. And if they run like they are right now, or it finishes as they are right now, as we're working lap number 17, about to complete it this time by, he's in that position with 8 to go right now that he would win this thing.
Yeah, that's going to be the one tricky thing, figure out where everybody is. And these guys branching out, a couple more cars venturing out there, trying to get that outside lane working. Looks like Ray Rittenauer, the 87, the 89, and Matt Quick, they're just trying to push the it's not working. They don't have the cars just yet. It almost makes contact with the 9, but they stay off of each other. But yeah, Josh Ball's in the catbird seat right now. All he has to do is ride there, and he's got himself a win.
Yeah, at this point, he doesn't need to push the issue. Doesn't obviously want to get into a wreck without the cautions. There's no coming back from a wreck in the outside lane. Trying to pick up some speed. Ray Rittenauer in that 87 machine, the Pittsburgh Penguins machine, trying to get some help from Matt Quick right behind him. And 2 cars by themselves on the outside. It's not quite enough. They can use a side draft to hold their position, but it's not going to be quite enough to actually get the race lead. That bottom side with the numbers involved. The amount of cars there, they're going to be able to
the outside.
keep that.
94's going with them.
Yeah, the 94. Look at that move. Frank Busilia, a veteran here at I Super Speedway, made a bold move right there, and that's going to give that outside lane. That's exactly what they needed. Put Busilia now, first car on that bottom side, give him the advantage into 3.
Yep, as soon as he got clear, he dropped down. That's going to leave the 93, or excuse me, the well, no, it's going to leave the guys on the outside dry, because he was the main player right there as he pulled out. He had that momentum from the back of the 93. He just pulled out and was able to make it work. But as soon as he pulled down, but as soon as I say that, they're side by side with the 93 of Busilia. Busilia gets in the back of him, almost spins the 94. They're side by side for the lead as they go down the back straightaway.
Yeah, pretty big run on that outside. Rittenauer is actually going to clear Busilia as they head into turn number 3. Question is, does he drop in front? He does. Drops in front, takes over the race lead, and the outside lane now is going to be led by that 89 of Matt Quick. And excuse me, I got the wrong car number on that one. Matt Quick's a little further back, but great job by all those guys there on the outside. And the 9 car, good to see him up front there, Chad King. And he is helping the 89. I was wrong on that one, but the 89 and Matt Quick trying to get it done. Been very quiet these 3 races up until this point. Josh Ball sitting there still in the 4th spot on the bottom line, and he's right where he needs to be to get this thing a win.
A couple laps here toward the finish. Can you imagine what that 9's thinking? He's like, if I push this 89 to the front, he's going to pull down in front of the leaders. I'm going to be by myself. So, yeah, I want to get to the front, but he's going to have to play smart about this. But they make the decision for him as they break up that little 2-car tandem. He's going to slide back outside the top 5.
Yeah, he'll slide out the top 5 for the time being. Matt Quick going to fall back also. Frank Busilia back to the top side now to get around Ray Rittenauer. And a good move right there. 3 cars going for it right there. A lot of teammate action. They got a huge run, and all 3 of them are going to get clear of the 87 of Rittenauer. And Josh Ball now 3rd place as the top, or as 4 guys. The 42 of Andrew Berger actually cleared Rittenauer also. So that was a huge run for 4 cars to actually be able to get by Rittenauer, but everybody ganged up on him right there, and that's going to put Rittenauer back into that 5th spot to battle Matt Quick side by side.
Oh, 93 does another shove, and it pushes the 94 just a little bit. Rittenauer pulls to the outside, lets the 71 of Peterson get to the bottom. He's going to fall in 5th in line. 87's leading that line with the 89 in tow and the 9. A couple of quick cars driven first by that Quick as the 93. He's pulling to the outside. There's Pulaski. The 87 pulls to the outside. We're 3 wide for 2nd.
3 wide action. The problem is Rittenauer has no help right there. If he's not careful, Quick's going to get up to the inside. He does. That's going to leave Rittenauer out to dry. Top side all by himself. Rod Flagg's going to jump up there. Maybe try to help him, give him a push, or at least get a run. He's going to probably drop down and no, he's going to stay on his bumper. Give him the push, try to give him an advantage. Not going to happen, though. They're both going to drop to that middle lane right now, and the bottom side going to prevail right now. Frank Busilia with Josh Ball right on his bumper. They're going to lead out of turn number 4, coming to the line with 2 to go.
Popsicle sticks in the air for the 94. Frank Busilia, the 3rd. He's got the 93 of Pulaski outside of him, the 48 of Josh Ball. That 48, all he has to do is ride, and he's got that win in the bag, but they're race car drivers. All they want to do is win. They don't care how they get it, and he's going to want to get that lead as soon as possible, but we've got 2 laps to go and less than that as they come down the back straightaway out of 2.
That they do. In the top side, James Pileski trying everything he can. Matt Quick trying to help him out. 71 of Christian Peterson now trying to help him out as well as they work their way through 3 and 4. And they come into the white flag this time.
Oh, contact.
Contact. There they go. Oh,
48
Josh
ball,
Ball, one of the
everybody.
championship or the race winning contenders. All involved with that. Peterson again involved. Frank Busilia all by himself now as they head into turn number 1. And maybe we can get a replay of that, but some contact made by those guys coming out of turn number 4. We're going to keep the action towards the front of the field now as the 9 and the 64 of Hallinar are going to team up right now, and that's going to leave the 94
Oh, he's a sitting duck. 94 is a sitting duck as they go on the back straightaway. 9 goes to the outside. Chad King to the outside. 3 wide down the back straightaway. 64 pulls to the inside. Hallinar, they form back up. 9 down through turns 3 and 4. Hadn't led a lap all night, and he's trying to get the win. He's going to pull to the inside of the racetrack. They're single files. The 64 pull to the outside. He's going to get to the line first, but who's going to be our overall winner?
Good win right there for Chad King in the third and final race. Alex Hallinar is going to finish in the second spot. Frank Busilia is going to show across the line in third. And, man, it's going to be – I'm glad I don't have to do the calculator work on this because it's going to be interesting to see how everything shakes up in that. And you know what? To be honest with you, I'm looking at the points right now, and I don't see anybody in that top 10 right now that was in the top 10 finish in the top 10 in this one. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all shapes up. But, you know, gosh, I have no idea. My math.
You guys, they're going to find out the same time we do because
Yeah.
we're going to get the word from the league officials in just a minute when they get the official results. But what a move from Chad Keeney. Gets hooked up with the 64 Alex Hallinar, and they just take it to the front and get past the 94 Busilia. That was a great move.
And it was. We'll take a replay of what happened with the 48. We'll get that up on your screen right now. And, man, he was in the catbird seat to get the win, to get the overall win. And across the board, he's going to finish far down the standings, outside the top 20. Replays up on your screen now. And just some contact made right there out of turn number 4. And the 48 up into the wall and heavy, heavy damage for that Lowe's Chevrolet. And that's definitely not what Josh Ball wanted to see happen here in the final race. And unfortunate for a lot of these guys, you know, Paul Servant, he's got a good opportunity, 17 points out in 7th. He ended up coming home around that 10th spot. So a lot of these guys, yeah, it looked like a little bit of netcode maybe also on that replay there too. So we're going to step aside for a moment. We'll come back and hopefully we'll get our top 3 finishers when they sort out all the points. You've been watching the iSuperspeedway.com racing series right here on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing. Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. The races are finally over. 3 rounds went into effect. First time the cumulative race structure had gone on here at the iRacing or iSuperspeedway.com racing series, and a pretty interesting night overall, and a lot of different things going up in the air. And I wouldn't say a surprise winner, but somebody only came out of the night, out of the 3 races, with 1 top 5 finish, and he's going to go on with the win for the night, and a pretty good night for him. Came out of nowhere pretty much. We didn't talk about him at all throughout the race, and in the final of the 3 races, Casey Malone comes home in the 6th spot in the final race, which ends up good enough to give him a 5-point advantage over Mark Jorgensen Jr. But we're going to talk to Greg Hooks. We're going to bring him in right now on pit road here, and I've caught up with him. And Greg, a pretty good night for yourself. I mean, not 1 top 5 overall for the night, but you end up with 3rd place overall for the points. That's a pretty good night for you.
Yeah, Andy, this format was crazy. We were just talking about how it ends up being a lot of strategy because you have people pitting early and people pitting late, and most of the time there wasn't too many cars grouped up. I don't think I was in a big pack after I pitted once, so we just played it as well as we could. I wish I could have. I ran out of fuel in the second one. I would have had 2 or 3 more spots, and I had bad luck in the first one trying to avoid that big wreck. So if we could have played that a little differently, we might have won it.
Yeah, you might have. You only finished 6 points out of the total cumulative added up together. You finished 6 points out of it. So, I mean, like you said, overall, I mean, you really maybe not. You don't need 3 wins, but you just need 3 solid runs. You had a couple of those, and overall to come out with a 3rd, that's pretty cool for this new format. And it did pose different strategies for other guys. And we saw it in the first race. Pretty much everybody waited towards the end to make that mandatory stop. And then the second race, it switched right up, and you had guys coming in right away after 2 laps, just trying to maybe stay out of the melee and not get caught up in a wreck. And it just saw so many different things, and it worked out for some, worked out for not so many. But for yourself, obviously the strategy was good, and you get a 3rd place finish out of it.
Yeah, there's a lot we have to figure out with this because even outside of pitting, if you finish in the top 10, you don't qualify for the next race. So we're thinking maybe you want to finish like 11th the first race, 11th the second race, and then qualify good for both of those, and then go out and try to win the last one and get yourself the best chance.
Yeah, obviously, over the course of the season, we'll have a few more chances at this one, and I think out of this race, obviously, everybody's going to learn something out of it as far as strategy, and I'm sure working as with teammates and other drivers that you're familiar with throughout the season, it's going to obviously help and probably make everything so much different when we get to do this again in 3 more weeks.
Exactly, and my teammates had some bad luck, so I didn't get to do too much with them after pitting. But this last race was just about. I had the standings pulled up in front of me on my phone, so I had the math going, and I knew Mark was out of it, and Rod and a few others in front of me. So once Josh got caught up in that wreck there at the end, it opened up that. But then I also had the fact that the guy I was working with was also the guy I was competing against. So it's going to be a lot of interesting factors that we have to figure out soon, but it should be fun.
That it will. We'll have a few weeks in between to get it done again in this format. But for the first time overall, 3rd place finish, not too bad for you. Sponsor shout outs. Who helps you get it done every week?
Yeah, I want to thank Rod, of course, for everything he does with the league, all of you guys at LSRTV, everybody at Dark Horse Racing, Chris, Derek, Rodney, Corey, Mrs. Piscini, everybody that makes it work. So it should be fun in the coming weeks. Hopefully we can use this momentum and try to get the season back on track.
Well, it is early in the season. A 3rd place finish obviously helping you in the point standings for a chance at a championship later on as the season winds down. Congratulations again, 3rd place, Greg, and we'll look forward to seeing you next Friday night.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Andy.
There you have it, 3rd place finisher Greg Hooks here tonight at Daytona, and I think my co-partner here, Gabriel Wood, has caught up with 2nd place finisher Mark Jorgensen Jr.
Down here on the end of pit road, 88 car, Mark Jorgensen Jr. 2 podiums, 1 night. Not a bad way to recover from last season, huh?
No, I was just talking to some of my teammates about that. Last season was wow, I don't even want to talk about it. I mean, it was definitely terrible. But yeah, God Almighty, it sucks coming out of here with a second. I really wanted that win, but shoot, man, why don't we just talk about that little second feature race that I won? We'll just talk about that.
Well, we'll go ahead and bring up your win. You did, yeah, as Andy points out, no trophy for that, but you did get second place here tonight. But yeah, that was a great finish in that second race we watched. Everybody was riding single file, and the final 400 feet, really, everybody just parted ways, and you ended up with the victory over the 48, and that was a very close finish.
Oh yeah, that second race was pretty cool. This little cumulative deal. This is the first time I've ever been a part of it, so it was pretty neat. Kind of working with a bunch of guys and planning your fuel strategy as far as when you want to pit, how many gallons, and that second race. After the pit stops, we just all got in line and just rode, and everybody was content. And talking in team speak, everybody said that they was content, and I knew that somebody was going to make a move off of turn 4, so I just kind of had to put a block on Josh Ball to kind of slow his momentum. I was able to get that win. But no, this last race, the third race, everything was going pretty good. We just all rode around in the back, just kind of passed cars when we could. We wasn't going to be racing aggressive to run up through there and put ourselves in a bad position. But yeah, this iRacing sim, every now and again, it kind of bites you. Went into pit row and had my tires unchecked, and the next thing I know, the right side of my car is jacked up in the air, taking tires. So that definitely put me back behind the 8 ball. So after that, I was just hoping that the guys that was still in position to get the win overall tonight, I was just crossing my fingers, hoping that they crashed out, and just one guy fell a little short of that.
Now, before you got in the car there for the race and 25 laps of it, you told me you would be, I'm paraphrasing here, a little ticked if you didn't get in the top 5 in this race. You didn't get in the top 5 in this race, but you got top 5 overall, second position. You got to be pretty happy about that.
Yeah. I am happy about that, finishing second. Like I said, after the season that I had last season, I think I only finished like 3 or 4 races last season. So, that kind of sucked. But, these things are so hard. Whenever you put yourselves in position and you feel like you can win the overall race tonight, which whenever I went into the third race, I felt like it was my race to lose, and, ended up, iRacing playing a factor into that. But, I mean, I am pretty pissed off. I definitely want to get a race win, get a trophy, be able to punch my what's that Evan that says
Punch his chicken.
Yeah, I want to go ahead and punch my chicken on into the chase. Get that taken care of pretty early. I don't want to have to wait mid-season or later on in the season to do that. I want to get it knocked out pretty early to where I can just go racing and make sure I keep myself in the top 30 in points.
No animals were harmed in the filming of LSRTV Productions or Mark's Drive to the Front. Yeah, Mark, for the second time tonight, give us a little shout out for your sponsors.
Yeah, I'd just like to give a good shout out to Tax Slayer. They come on board, this past week. Car looked pretty great, especially under the lights here at Daytona. Want to give a big shout out to LSRTV for the amazing job that they do with the broadcast. Even the broadcasters, y'all are all amazing. I mean, it's pretty neat, whenever you get done doing one of these races and you kind of adrenaline slows down a little bit and you pull the race back up and watching it. It's pretty neat just listening to y'all talk about it and get excited, this, that, and the other. That's great. I'd like to give another shout out to Rod Flagg. Again, he does an amazing job with both of his leagues, and I'm just happy to be a part of it. I just can't wait to get one of these wins. In the trucks I want to win, and the ISS I want to win. I just want to get a trophy.
Mark Jorgensen, if you race like you raced tonight, won't be very long, and we'll be calling your name to come to victory lane. But congratulations on your second overall finish, third in the Truck Series, second tonight. Congratulations.
Thanks, Gabe. I appreciate it.
Andy, I believe you've caught up with first-time winner Casey Malone.
Yeah, I am down here in victory lane with first-time winner in the iSuper Speedway Series, Casey Malone. And man, pretty interesting night with the 3 little feature races, and then you were able to put it all together. One top 5, that's all it took for yourself, but consistency over the 3 races gave you a 5-point edge, and you come out of here with a win.
Yeah, to be honest, I thought I was done. I was just riding behind Keese, hanging out, ready for it to be over.
Well, it is over, and you can call yourself a winner at the Ice Super Speedway Series, and a trophy will be on its way to you too. So it's got to be pretty cool, obviously, to come into the series fairly new to it, and to get a race this early in the season, get a win. Uh, Evan's not here tonight, so I'll say it: you get to punch your chicken into the championship picture now. Now all you got to do is survive the rest of the regular season, keep yourself in the top 30 in points, which is a pretty feasible thing to accomplish. And you're going to have yourself into the chase for the championship here at the end of the season now.
Yeah, I'll take a free ticket. Don't have to worry about much for the rest of the season and can just play it safe until the chase starts. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah, it's definitely a good thing when you can knock it out of the way early in the season and not have to worry about it. And we're only in race number 5. We're only in race number 5 of the season, so we got tons of racing still left to do here on Friday nights. And you get yourself a win. And talk about what was your strategy going into these 5 races? Obviously, a mandatory pit stops required in each race. Was it kind of up in the air in the first race? Because it kind of seemed that way. Everybody waited to the end, to the last, inside the last 10 laps to make that gas and go. And then the second race, it seemed everybody decided to pit early. And then the third race was kind of a mixed thing. So what was your strategy, or did you not really have one, just kind of play it by ear?
In the first race, we didn't really have one. We were just waiting to see how it played out. It ended up, for me, not mattering anyways. I ended up involved in a wreck before we got to lap 2. But the second race, we planned on coming in early just to try to avoid any incidents that may happen, and it worked out. We ended up, I think, 3 seconds in front of the next pack, and it ended up getting us apparently good enough points to win. And then the third one, we planned on pitting as early as we could to hopefully have the same success we had in the second race. And I ended up sliding through my stall and losing touch with the group that I came in with, which apparently ended up working out.
Yeah, it absolutely worked out for you. And obviously, we get to do this format again, probably about 3 or 4 more times during the season. And obviously, as the first time doing it, now everybody's kind of thinking, all right, what are we going to have to do next time? I mean, is it one of those things, you finish in the top 10, you can't qualify for the next round. So a couple of guys were talking about maybe, finishing 11th or 15th in all 3 races would be good enough, because at least you get to qualify each time and maybe start in the front to avoid something. So is it something like that, or is it ultimately just you got to get as many points as possible every single race?
I had thought about that too, finishing as close as you could to the top 10 without being in it. But in the third race, we all ended up coming from the back, and they would have been good if there wouldn't have been a wreck. They would have been the ones that ended up winning. So I think if you can get in early and get with your group of people you trust, I think you can pull it off pretty okay.
Over the next couple of weeks before we get to do this again, it's going to be all about making friends on the racetrack for you.
Exactly.
All right. Well, now's your chance in Victory Lane. Sponsors, shout outs. Who helps you get it done?
Well, I got to thank Jorgensen and Ball and Franklin and Corey Henry for driving the number 12 and Andrew Berger. I feel like we had a really good strategy there, and I feel bad that those guys ended up getting wrecked, because I think Josh would have won it if there wasn't a wreck there on the last lap, but I'll take it.
Of course you will. A win and a trophy is always a good thing when you're talking about racing, and tonight you got it done overall. Congratulations again, Casey, and we look forward to seeing you next Friday night.
Thank you, sir.
Well, there you have it. Your first-time winner in the Ice Super Speedway Series, and he gets it done in a new format, new to everybody. First time that the series has ever done anything like this, and I'm not sure, Gabe. What can we take out of this? As in about 3 weeks from now, we get to do it all over again.
Well, I think we can take out of this, winning isn't really everything. I mean, like Greg Hook said, you could finish 11th in the first race, finish 11th in the second race, and then go out and try and win in the last race, and you can end up in the Casey Malone's position. So these guys are going to have to work out their strategy if they're going to want to come out on top in the next race.
Yeah, they definitely are. You look at a couple of the winners that, besides Mark Jorgensen, who came home second, you look at a couple of others, Dana Osborne he won the first one, and he finished 12th. And then, of course, Chad Keene won the second one, and he ended up finishing 14th in the points, some 22 points out of the win. So it's just amazing exactly how it all shapes up in the end. But it's definitely something to keep an eye on as we get to do this a few more times and really see maybe next time how the strategy changes and what these guys maybe try to do different as far as when they come down pit road or what type of team alliances we might see, as far as what kind of groups come down to pit road together to do it. And we saw a bunch of things. Pit road bit a bunch of guys missing the commitment cone and other guys getting spun out on pit road. We saw a bunch of things. So, I mean, not only does that stuff play in the regular race, but it also played a huge factor here because there was no rebound time. 25-lap races, they go quick, no cautions. There's no way to catch back up. So one little mistake, any mistake on the racetrack or on pit road, it costs you big time.
Andy, I want to make one more point for any of you guys watching. If you see any of these guys in a Carb Cup race, they're probably practicing for this format, see how far they can get up the race, starting from the back, see how far they can get up there. So if you see any of these guys, just know they're basically using it as a practice session.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Quick 25-lap race like that, no cautions involved. That's definitely a Carb Cup race any hour of the week right here on iRacing. So with that, let's take a quick look. We'll look at the top 10 finishers here tonight. And Casey Malone, of course, getting the win. Mark Jorgensen Jr. coming home in that second spot. Greg Hooks finished third. Kyle Manger finished fourth. And Alex Hallinar finished fifth.
Andrew Berger recovers from damage in that first race to finish in the sixth position, 12 points behind the winner. Ryan Keeson, 7th. Paul Servant in 8th. Frank Busilla, the 3rd, finishes 16 points behind the winner. And Rob Flagg finishes in 10th, your final car inside the top 10.
Well, with that said, we'd like to thank everyone who tuned in here right on LSRTV and iRacing Live every Friday night, a doubleheader with the Rod Car Truck Tour and, of course, the iSuperspeedway.com racing series. For more information on iSuperspeedway, visit iSuperspeedway.com. You can follow them on Twitter at iSuperspeedway and, of course, on Facebook at facebook.com/iSuperspeedway. You can also stay up to date with LSRTV online at livesimracing.com, on Facebook at facebook.com/livesimracingtv. And, of course, hopefully you all tune in tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m. as we have a special event that was put on by the owners of the Domino's TYJ Racing League that is seen exclusively right here on LSRTV, as they have their own version of the Daytona 500 tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m. It's called the Pit Stops for Hope 500, benefiting our very own Laura Lawson as she battles her fight against lymphoma cancer as we speak. And we always, of course, here at LSRTV wish Laura the best and a speedy recovery too, so that we can see her on broadcasts to come. But with that said, I want to thank Cisco Scaramuzza down in the production trailer, Josh Ball for helping us out during the truck race, and of course Gabriel Wood up here in the booth with me all night long. We hope you enjoyed this Friday night doubleheader. We hope you can tune in tomorrow afternoon right here on LSR TV. Until then, we'll see you next week or next time right here